Ho, 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 gather close, my friends. Pull up the cozy chair, wiggle those listening ears, and get ready for a story about courage, friendship, and a little raccoon discovered that going last doesn't mean you're too late. In a bright little forest called Mapleberry Woods, there lived a young raccoon named Remy. Remy was kind, Remy was clever, Remy could stack acorns better than anyone in the whole forest. Well, almost anybody. The squirrel named Nibbles once stacked 12 acorns on his head and walked 3 steps before sneezing. Record broken, Nibbles shouted. Then all 12 acorns rolled into a puddle. Remy laughed so hard his tail fluffed up like a feather duster. For even though Remy loved laughing with his friends, there was one thing he didn't love: trying first. Oh no, 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 no. Remy liked to watch. He watched before climbing a branch. He watched before tasting a new berry. He even watched before joining a game of hop over the log. I'm not scared, Remy would say. Then he'd pause. I'm just, collecting information. His friend Poppy, the rabbit, tilted her head. You've been collecting information for 20 minutes. Remy nodded seriously. I like to be thorough. One sunny morning, all the young animals gathered near Sparkle Stream, where the water curled around smooth stones and giggled over tiny pebbles. Today was the first ever Mapleberry Friendship Challenge. Santa had helped the forest animals plan it during one of his summer visits. Oh yes, Santa Papa John, visits the forest too. Just like your house, your town, your village, your city, your neighborhood. I can visit a forest too. Sometimes with boots, sometimes with cocoa, sometimes with a sandwich he packed himself and forgot that it was in his coat pocket. The Friendship Challenge had 3 fun parts. First, cross the stepping stones over Sparkle Stream. Second, carry a pine cone carefully through the windy grass. Third, ring the silver bell under the old willow tree. No prizes, no winners, just cheers, laughter, and a celebration picnic at the end. Poppy bounced in place. This is going to be amazing. Nibbles puffed out his tiny chest. I was born for challenges. A little turtle named Tuck blinked slowly. I was born for snacks. Everyone laughed. Remy smiled too, but his paws felt wiggly. The stepping stones looked safe. Probably. Mostly. Maybe. There were round ones and flat ones sitting across the shallow stream like little gray pancakes, but Remy didn't move towards them. Poppy hopped up beside him. Want to go with me? Remy shook his head. Nope, no, you go first. Are you sure? Absolutely, Remy said. I'm still collecting information. Poppy smiled kindly and hopped to the first stone, then to the second, then to the third. See? She called. Not too bad. Remy nodded. Good data. Nibbles scampered next. He jumped from stone to stone, waving his tail proudly. I am graceful, I am speedy, I am... Whoa! His foot slipped just a tiny bit, and he sat down with a splash. Not a big splash, just enough to make his tail look like a wet paintbrush. I meant to do that, Nibbles said. Everyone giggled. Remy laughed too, but inside he thought, see, that could happen to me. Then Tuck the turtle crossed slowly, very slowly. He stepped onto the first stone, then paused. He stepped onto the second, then paused again. Nibbles whispered, should we have lunch while he crosses? Tuck looked over. I heard that. Everybody laughed again, but Tuck kept going. Little by little, he made it across. When he reached the other side, everybody cheered. Remy clapped the loudest. Great job, Tuck. Tuck smiled. Thank you. I was nervous. Remy's ears perked. You were? Tuck nodded. Of course, but nervous feet can still move. Remy looked down at his own paws. Nervous feet can still move? He liked that. But he didn't move. More animals went across. A chipmunk, a fox cub, 2 ducklings who didn't really need the stones but used them anyway because they thought they looked fancy. At last, Remy was the only one left on the starting side. Poppy waved gently. Come on, Remy, you can do it. Remy swallowed. The stones looked farther apart now. Remy, how that happens, isn't it? When others crossed, the stones looked friendly. When it was Remy's turn, they looked like they had opinions. Remy stepped towards the first stone, then stepped back. I think maybe I'll go after one more person, he said. Poppy blinked. Remy, there isn't one more person. Remy looked around. Oh? Just then a warm chuckle came from behind the trees. Ho, 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 well now, I know that feeling. Everyone turned. There stood me, Santa Papa John, wearing his summer Santa shirt, red suspenders, and the boots with the little bit of forest mud on them. A bluebird sat on his shoulder like it was an official assistant. Santa, everybody cheered. Santa waved. Hello, my brave little friends. Remy smiled, but he looked down at his paws. Santa walked over and sat on the smooth log near the stream. Remy, I said gently, you've been watching carefully. Remy nodded, very carefully. And what did you learn? Remy thought about it. Poppy went fast and smiled. Nibbles went fast and splashed. Tuck went slow and still made it. Santa's eyes twinkled. That sounds like some mighty fine information. Remy sighed, but I still don't feel ready. Santa nodded. Sometimes ready doesn't show up before we begin. Remy looked at him. It doesn't? Not always. Santa said sometimes ready meets us halfway. Remy stared at the first stone. What if I slip? Then you get your paw wet, Santa said. Nibbles raised his tail. Wet tails are also possible. Santa laughed. Yes, thank you, Nibbles. Very scientific. Nibbles bowed. Santa looked back at Remy, but you won't be alone. Poppy called, I'll stand right here. Tuck nodded. I'll cheer slowly but sincerely. Everybody laughed. Remy took a breath. Then he stepped onto the first stone. His paw wobbled. His whisker twitched, but he stayed standing. The forest went quiet, not a scary quiet, a hopeful quiet. Remy stepped to the second stone, then the third. The water bubbled beside him. Hello, Remy whispered to the stream. Please don't splash me today. The stream, being a stream, did not answer. He took another step and another. When Remy reached the far bank, everyone cheered so loudly that a bird dropped a berry in surprise. Remy blinked. I did it! Poppy hopped over and hugged him. You did it! Remy looked back at the stones. I watched everyone go first, he said, but my feet still had to take their own steps. Santa smiled. That's the beginning of brave. Now the challenge wasn't finished. Next came the windy grass. Each animal had to carry one pine cone across the path while the meadow breeze puffed and pushed. Poppy tucked her pine cone under her chin and bounced across. Nibble bounced his on his head for 3 whole seconds. Then it rolled down his nose. I improved from acorns, he announced. Tuck carried his pine cone on his shell. Moving slowly and proudly, Remy stood back again, watching. This time, though, he noticed something different. He wasn't watching because he wanted to hide. He was watching to learn. Poppy held her steady. Nibbles laughed when his fell. Tuck went slowly and didn't rush. Remy picked up his pine cone. It was prickly. "Excuse me," he told it. "Please behave." The pine cone did not answer either. Remy held it gently and started forward. The wind puffed. The grass swooshed. The pine cone wiggled. Remy almost stopped. Then he remembered Tuck's words. Nervous feet can still move. So he moved, one step, two steps, a little sideways step when the wind got bossy. At last he made it across. The pine cone stayed in his paws. Remy grinned. That was actually fun. Nibbles gasped, "Careful, Remy. Fun can become a habit." By the time they reached the old willow tree, Remy felt taller inside. The little silver bell hung from the low branch, shining in the sunshine. Each animal had to ring it to finish the friendship challenge. Poppy rang it with a light ding. Nibbles rang it twice by accident. Tuck reached up and gave it a softest tiny ting. Then everybody looked at Remy. His turn. Again? But this time Remy didn't step back. He stepped forward. He looked at the bell. He looked at his friends. He looked at Santa. Then Remy reached up and rang the bell. Ding! The sound floated through Mayberry Woods like a happy little song. Everyone cheered. Santa clapped his big hands. Ho, ho, ho! That was wonderful. Remy laughed. I almost didn't try, he said. Poppy smiled, but then you did. Remy nodded, and then this happened. He looked around at his friends, the stream, the grass, the bell, the picnic basket being spread under the trees. This happened, he said. I found out I could. That afternoon they all shared berry muffins, honey crackers, and one mysterious sandwich from Santa's coat pocket. What kind is it? Nibbles asked. Santa opened it and squinted. Well, it started as peanut butter. And now, Poppy said. Santa sniffed. Now it has become an adventure. Everyone laughed so hard even Tuck nearly tipped sideways. As the sun lowered, Remy sat beside the sparkle stream. Santa sat next to him. You know, Remy said, I think I still watch sometimes. Santa nodded. Watching can be wise, but I don't want to watch forever. Santa smiled. That's even wiser. Remy dipped one paw gently into the stream. It helped seeing my friends go first, he said, but it felt different when I finally went. Santa's voice grew soft and warm. That's because courage can be borrowed for a little while from people we trust. But sooner or later we discover some of it is inside of us all along. Remy smiled. I like that. So do I, Santa said. The bluebird on Santa's shoulder chirped. Santa nodded. Yes, yes, you were brave too. You sat on my shoulder through the mystery sandwich. The bird chirped again. I agree, Santa. Very brave. From that day on, Remy still liked to watch first. But now, when his turn came, he didn't always step away. Sometimes he stepped forward. When the animals tried painting with mud, Remy watched Poppy make a flower. Nibbles made a blob. Tuck made something that looked like a potato wearing a hat. Then Remy painted a bright sun. When they tried singing at the meadow concert, Remy watched first. Then he sang one little line. It came out squeaky. Nibbles whispered, a musical door hinge. Remy laughed so hard he forgot to feel embarrassed. And when the forest held another friendship challenge, Remy didn't go first. Not quite. But he didn't go last either. He stood beside Tuck and said, Want to go together? Tuck smiled. Slowly. Remy grinned. Bravely. And together they crossed the stepping stones while their hands cheered, while their friends cheered. step by step, smile by smile, braver than before. And somewhere near, I, Santa Papa John, watched with a twinkle in my eye, knowing that sometimes the biggest change in a child's heart doesn't make a loud noise. Sometimes it makes like one small paw stepping forward. Here's the moral of the story. We watch others go first because we feel unsure, and that's okay. Watching can help us learn, feel safer, and understood what we do. But we should not let watching become a hiding place forever. Courage begins when we take our own step, even if it's a small, slow, and a little wobbly. Remy learned that being brave does not mean going first or being perfect. It means believing that you are allowed to try, allowed to learn, and allowed to grow. When we support others and then take our own turn, we can discover that confidence was quietly growing inside of us all along. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that was pretty awesome. Are you brave today? Will you challenge yourself to do something new? Come on back tomorrow and listen to another wonderful tale by Santa Papa John at Storytime by Santa. Ho, ho, ho! Santa loves you.